Oh my gosh.
It's not my fault, princess.
Oh my gosh. It's a stick kind of night, by the way. We're gonna hit a nub Maduro. See that right there? See that right there? We're gonna hit a nub Maduro. See if this son of a stays together. Did you want to be mic'd up there, love? I figured I was gonna wait till you decovered the mic before it gets a super scratchy sound to it. Oh, you gonna pull it to you? What you gonna do?
I guess so. I forgot that part.
Remember, you speak like it's a conference room.
All right.
Oh yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, you spoke just like it was a conference room for sure. That did it. Let's see. I'm gonna bump me up just a hair. I think I don't. Yeah, let's go to 39. 39's good. All right, you talk.
Okay, I'm talking. Is that good?
Kind of want you up a little bit more. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I don't. I don't know what I want to do. I feel like I want it up a little bit hotter. A little bit hotter there. A little bit hotter now. A little bit hotter now.
Oh, what'd you do?
It's okay. Hit a button.
Too many buttons.
I hit too many buttons. Oh, what did I do? Oh yeah. Yep. 40. Yep. There we go. All right. So I'm talking and it's in between the lines and that looks right. That looks right. All right. Now I'm gonna swap to you. Go ahead and talk. Tell me how your day was.
My day was okay.
Okay.
Mike from Briar Blues.
You didn't say much.
No, my day was not too eventful today, but it was pretty good.
Okay. All right. So that sounds better.
Patrick.
This is Patrick. Is that too loud in your ears?
My
No, I'm good.
friend Phil Rivera, pipe maker extraordinaire.
Good heavens. I tell you, if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Like the whole Irish nation.
I love that one. I'm waiting for the copyright strike.
Evening, fellow pipe
I imagine it's
smokers.
gonna be one.
Hope everyone's doing well.
My
It's Matthew
apologies.
here from Picking and Piping.
My apologies for being late. Today has been one freaking hell of a week, and it's Tuesday.
Ouch.
It's freaking Tuesday. I have a case of the Tuesdays.
Without tacos.
What is a? Oh yeah, where's Cincy at? Cincy, that's for you. Wherever you are, Cincy. That's for you, Cincy. So
Man,
there you go.
Is he here?
I don't know. He might be lurking somewhere. If he missed it, he missed it. I don't sit there and pull my shirt up for just anybody. Oh, you piece of shit. I missed the beep. Oh well. I don't care. It's one of those nights.
Since he did see it. He's there.
Taco Tuesday for WKL Piper in Cincinnati. Okay. We're all on a roll. It is par for the course, Patrick. Usually we try not to get too late on here, just for the simple fact that we want to make sure that everything's running well, but at the same time we want to make sure that we're not that we're, I don't know, who gives a damn, okay? Who cares? I'm not sure. I'm gonna drop me down to, I'm gonna drop a decibel. Drop a decibel. That's all I'm gonna do. Is are we coming in loud and clear?
Donald Graham with the shots.
Since it's one, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it. It's gonna be a beast. Gonna put it in the glass.
Said that one from Friday.
Yeah.
Oof.
The wife is not a fan of that. What is 5 for 5? What is that? Is that what you mean with par for the course? Sounds good. Chad, you know how to make my day. Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo! That wasn't quite chilled. Mm.
Ugh.
And it's a Keystone kind of night. And very good tacos they were, Cincy says. What kind of tacos did you have, Cincy? The wife will tell you what kind of tacos she likes.
I love al pastor.
The El Pastor.
Haven't had those in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Keystone and some Benchmark Foolproof 125. It hits. It's a stiff drink. It hits hard. Woo! Mercy. Oi. Oi, 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 oi. But yeah, Mike, if you want to benchmark tea, right? If you want to run a Zoom, we can do a Zoom.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Good to see you.
People know me. My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Oh, I know, Grumpy Dog. It's late. I got you, Ben. Hush it over there. No, Troy, you didn't lose any more points. And I'm glad that part of the system is working. You just never can tell. But it's okay. Mike, were you going to run it for us? Or not run it for us, but do a Zoom? Because Mike's a professional. So of course Mike has the pro. I hate subscriptions. Oh, you're good, Mike. I'm so over subscriptions. Like every time there's a flipping subscription, I'm just tired of it. Whether it's Premiere Pro, whether it's Netflix, whether it's whatever it is. Like I miss the day when you could just buy a program and it's a one-time fee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's bonuses to the subscriptions because they're obviously still, whoopsie, my bad. They're obviously still, let's bring it up a little bit. That way I don't have to really worry about it. There's still like a good thing about it. Charlie, good to see you. Where in fact they are constantly upgrading it and everything. So, I mean, there are good reasons for it. But outside of that, like it's still annoying. I don't know why it hid and girl, Charlie. Of all things, I had to approve and girl.
I thought that was odd, but hey, Charlie.
Maybe you're not allowed to say that, Charlie.
I mean,
these days, I don't know.
Never know.
Nope. We don't have those conversations.
No.
It's been a rough damn day.
Deep throat the thing.
I can tell you right now, that's a rough day. If you're having that, what is it?
I don't think it means what you think it means.
No, well, no, it might not. I feel like we're just having conversations on the stream deck.
Yeah.
Now.
2 hours later.
Oh, shit. Just kiss my ass.
Too many buttons.
Kiss my ass. Dang it. Thanks, Patrick. Good man. So yeah, so no, it's been a rough day. Been working since 8 until what, 9:30.
Yep.
Oh, Donald Graham, no.
Oh no, what timing?
What was the last situation you had that during a work week where you were just like, F it? Today wasn't quite that one for me. It wasn't. It's just, it was a real hard day. Lots of drama, lots of issues. I got a guy that wants me to help him get an exception on an account because his client wants to buy a freaking, salvage title vehicle, and we don't write those.
It sucks for him.
It sucks for us too. It's a 6-figure account.
Ooh.
So it's like, do you make the exception or not?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to.
Chad, that is an absolute day.
Ooh.
Right there. Your last day, Phil? Yeah, no, I understood that. Ugh. Couldn't imagine. I hate the idea. Like, Murphy's Law is a bitch.
That's true.
It is, and I can't stand it. But, again, I'm feeling better now that I'm on the live. I'm feeling better. I'm okay. I'm all right. Anybody else has got one of those days. I don't know who's going to beat Chad's, but, Donald Graham's is ranked up there for sure. I can tell you this, Phil. My last day will not be that kind of day because I'm going to have them pump so many crazy meds in me that I won't know that I've even left. Chad, it's given me one of a freedom, that's for sure. And on a kind of day, this is the right day to have this damn button. Okay? I'm just going to let you know. Occasionally, we're going to have these kind of days. Oh, good, Chris. I mean, well, that's something. That's, you know what? Way to be positive. I'm good with that. I'm good with some positivity. Matthew had a job interview once with 3 women on the way out and realized he had his fly down the whole time. Got the job done.
Hey. As long as he got the job, wasn't that bad.
That might have been why you got the job. Look at the silver lining. They must have saw something in you that they liked. That or they were all raised in a barn. Phil needs a bleep button.
Everybody needs a bleep button.
He got the job. He did get the job. Yeah, they were like this.
Oh my.
Some George.
Just look at that grain.
Ah, yes.
Are
As
you
I said,
looking?
I've got the nub Maduro with some bourbon, some benchmark bourbon, and some Keystone. What else are y'all doing? Patrick's hitting the bowl call right off. Ooh, Ron had a stomach bug or food poisoning yesterday. I was too busy for the live stream Monday, or was that TM? Nope. That is a 100% a day. I got nervous that I wasn't on the right button. I got nervous. Smoking some Aaron Moore and Church Warden and sipping on bourbon. See, only in the pipe community could you see air and more and know that what was meant to be in there was Aaron Moore. ERIN.
Yep.
In the pipe community, you'll know this. Oh, okay. Mike, I'm ready when you are. Ooh, some OGS and a K Woody. I like it. Some haunted bookshop and a Walker Briar sandblasted pot. I like it. 3 peas and a bingus. Like it. Sipping on gin and... Troy's got some black coffee and Bayou Morning and a 101 Ellie. Ooh, Matthew's drinking some Canadian rye whiskey and smoking some RM Scottish Flake. I like it. Donald Graham, it don't matter. I knew what you meant. Even if you misspelled it again. Aaron Moore Flake. Or Aaron Moore. Whatever. It's close enough. We all know what you're saying.
That's what matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
It's either the autocorrect or the Irish car bombs.
Which, at that point, you know, if that's the case, fuck it. Oh, check my email. We're doing it that way, are we? Let's make sure. Ooh, I've had a couple drops, couple frame drops. I don't like seeing that. Let's hope that it muscles its way through.
Wow.
Wow,
the weather.
It's a bit of a deluge out there. All of a sudden, we're getting that rain from New York. Come on, internet. Don't fail me now. It is wanting to be
not fun.
A bit of a I want to do okay, there we go. All right. So now we're connecting. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. There we go. All right. Can you see me now?
I can, Martin.
There we go.
You can hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
You are now the host. It's your thing.
Ah.
It's your show, baby.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I love it. I like that. Oh, I like that red light district you got going on there in the background there, Phil.
What can I say, Thaler? And it's Mike.
Oh, whoopsie.
Man.
I'm flashing things I'm not supposed to be flashing. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me, I'm on the wrong
careful.
screen.
There's going to be a tutu going across the
Oh,
screen.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That tutu.
All right. Let's see. Am I just laying the link in the chat?
That's what I believe you should be able to do, and then it's all up to you, baby.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you.
We baby you all night long.
You know, when I need something special, Mike comes through.
At least you got the name right.
God, what a disaster it's been already.
Looks like somebody's already wants to come in. It's all, yeah. Does it work?
It looks like it's working.
Yeah, Chad's coming in.
I'm going to pull up participants because...
Nice sweatshirt, Chad. Check mine.
Oh, I saw that on your video today.
Nice.
That shirt comes with instructions.
That's right.
I kind of feel... You know what, Chad? I kind of feel like it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, except the thing's pointed up at me, which...
Just... Charlie said, just call you Dan, Mike.
Hey, it's Jim Day. Hey, it's Phil Bob.
Hey, Taylor. You really have to worry, Mike, when Martin confuses you for me.
Look, I told you it's been one hell of a day. My brain is fairly numb. Chad, I'm not sure you want any of the questions that might be conjured up in this skull.
Might make it interesting. Not that it wasn't previously interesting.
Oh,
It was kind of cool watching Everett, and usually most of us that were in Vegas don't pop into Everett's lives at the same time. Kind of hit and miss, but we were all there, and it was cool to see everybody still bantering back and forth and still kind of carrying. They're still in Vegas mode.
Now I'm thinking. I'm wondering.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew, I don't
Hi,
see
folks. No, how's everybody doing?
There he is.
There he is. Yeah.
I always like Matthew's view. It's very intimate. Is that the word?
I don't know about that.
It's very yeah.
I think Mike characterizes intimate with those red lights.
I think Mike characterizes intimate with his shirt.
I was gonna say, Martin, my fly is up this time. So let's not talk about it.
Oh
Well,
yes.
I'm very glad that it's from the
How dare you.
waist up. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
No, it's very. It's not intimate. Was the wrong word. It's very Instagramish.
Instagramish.
I was going to make a comment about trolling with bait, but I'll leave that one alone.
Don't feel bad, Matthew. I was doing a live before Vegas, and I had a geriatric moment every time I got up and came back. Nobody mentioned to me that my fly was down.
Nice.
No, they were probably taking shots every time we were still down.
Oh, what a great game that would have been.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Go wife. Good call.
Thanks.
Good call for sure. Matthew, did you have any questions about the guys from Vegas?
I asked one last night. I wasn't on the Zoom, but I did ask one that you asked them. I asked them about what their favorite tobacco was that they smoked during the convention. So I'm sure I can think of some other ones.
I was curious. Did anybody come ill prepared with I don't know, like pipe cleaners or anything like that? Did anybody have to bum a light? Did anybody call them out for it? I wonder.
The only
Probably.
one that I think came really ill prepared was Dave, OBX.
Yeah.
I think he should get a personal GPS and a map. Because he could get lost in the washroom.
Chad and I got 180 degrees off at the airport while Nish was looking for us. But OBX apparently had a lot more issues with that airport than we did.
Charlie said he's glad he's in the chat where he can silently judge, even though he's chatting it out.
Yeah, it's okay, Charlie. We're judging you from the back of our minds.
Come on in, Charlie Bob.
I didn't carry a lighter or a tamper on purpose because I was worried about the plane. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the show, I had 2 Zippos and about 7 tampers.
Good Lord.
Nice.
I had 2 Bic lighters and a book of matches I left with Jose when I left because I didn't want those.
Just to show you how quick TSA is, I had 2 lighters, 2 boxes of wooden matches, tamper, pen, didn't even bat an eye. But of course, they had to look at all my liquids and my CPAP machine.
They did similar to Chad and I.
And on the way back, nothing. I was through TSA, Canada Customs faster than it took me to get a cab at YVR.
Wow.
So did everybody get enough adequate post Vegas rest? Is everybody well rested and a little bit back to normal?
I'm sure we're all still feeling this is like running a marathon. It hurts more the 3rd day.
Oh, okay. Got it.
My ribs are still hurting from laughing so much.
Yeah.
I do have a question actually.
Go for it.
I saw a bunch of your videos today.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, Chad, and Phil, you guys all talked about the great time you had and you all thanked Niche. Did anyone do an interview with Niche or have a picture of him. I'm curious I'd love to actually see what the guy looks like or talk to him or like.
There'll be some videos floating around with Niche in it, and it'll be up to you to figure it out who he is.
Oh, so it's Where's Waldo, but at the Vegas pipe.
It's a challenge.
Got it.
Niche prefers, unless he meets you in person on social media, he tends to remain in the background.
Yeah, on my live stream, I said there's Niche, but he was probably 35, 40 feet away.
Oh, and it was clear as mud.
I ran into him face to face while I was walking around and asked him, and he politely declined.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, Chad. He's declined. So did anyone ever interview him at all? Like, did he ever go on camera?
That's not his thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He doesn't do that.
Yeah, due to his career in business associations, he has to keep a very low profile.
He's a sniper.
I mean,
wow.
A lot of us did he have a photo with us, and he obliged us kind of grudgingly, but he gets that he did it, but we're not going to name him in the post.
Okay, I'll explain to you like this, Matt. In your close your eyes and think of a mid-50s
John Galdieri,
age,
Georgia loves you.
what
And
you would
yes,
think
it's a niche hobby.
a typical Armenian looks like, and it's exactly opposite that, and you'll be close.
I love that Chad's head shook right halfway through that. You
and
can't
don't let the voice fool you. You wouldn't put the voice with Niche.
No.
He's probably sitting in the background watching this and laughing.
Oh, I hope he is.
Probably.
I hope he is.
I can tell you an interesting story about Niche. So I'll just say he was very gracious and very kind, a very good host. And when he was taking me to the airport, he apologized for not having done more.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine somebody doing more.
That's a sign of a good giving person, by the way.
He's a wonderful human being.
From the airport to the airport, he had spreadsheets set up, and he was bouncing around like a ping pong ball.
Yeah, I went through too and rewatched a lot of the lives that occurred, and I'll say this after rewatching them, because I mean y'all saw me in Phil's chat last night and everything, kind of nerding out and thinking about the stream stuff like that. I definitely feel for how many YTPCers that were there, I feel like it's a missed opportunity for shows not to have a higher social media presence in terms of being able to live and create content for independent presenters that, again, is in the world of social media and current technologies and everything. The expansion of word of mouth is by far in social media. If you look at Gen Con, Dragon Con, whatever other con, you see so many content creators that foster a huge amount of people towards those products. And I feel like, that's something that I think, they should absolutely take more serious. I even I sat here doing numbers on what it would take to just get my setup there and just run. Like I wouldn't have a problem just sitting there running other people's lives for them. You just sit down, we log you in, go. And then
I would say that from what I noticed, I mean, Mike, Chad, Charlie, if he's in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong, but the YTPC definitely was noticed. I mean, we were the guys. We were like when you were a kid in the '80s, going to high school, and they had all the stoners. They called them all sitting over in a corner smoking. That was us, So, and most of the presenters were YTPC members. There was only 2 or 3 groups of, the old school pro level there doing the live.
I would say the reason it seems that way is because the reason we were noticed is because we have put ourselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, people walking around the show that don't have a channel or a page or whatever it may be harder for people to pick up and realize who it is. And I'd say this about the show. I'll speak in their defense. I feel like this was more than likely going to be the first step in a very tall stairway that they're planning on climbing.
For sure.
Yeah, I think they definitely noticed our presence because we were the most boisterous group there from what I could see. And
Charlie said, noticed, yes. Appreciated, question mark.
Our presence was observed well enough that they can't ignore it.
Well, it's not even that. But again, if you're talking about, a lot of times we talk about in terms of business and things like that, what is the legacy portion of a business? What is the legacy? What is the next step? What is the thing that continues that operation going? And when you're talking about a niche community where, you want to get as many, if you want to grow it, you want to intrigue and get people that are obviously, hitting some of the younger stages like 30s and 40s and stuff like that. But at some point that gets those people that are 20, 25 and early 30, eventually they're 40 and 50 and they're already immersed in social media and the way things are done in that regard. And so again, and I'm not knocking the show. I love the fact that they did that to begin with. I think that was a great first step. There's nothing wrong.
I'm not knocking it, but I'm right. Saying what I'm trying to get is our presence was definitely felt, observed, and I think they've taken note. And it'll be interesting to see what they do next year. Yeah,
but I mean, I've thought specifically about interjecting on. I think Charlie told me to reach out to the guy, which Brian Levine, I think is who it was. To give him. I mean, I might even tell him, say, look, come watch our Zoom, come watch the lives and stuff like that, and see what you could present at your pipe show. And I don't think Vegas is the only one that should be adopting this. I think if you're wanting to grow it, Muletown needs to, Chicago needs to, Columbus needs to, all of them need to.
I would say this was an experiment.
Yep.
To see how it went. I think it went relatively well. I think next year you're going to see a YTPC table being rented with the gear set up so that any YTPC presenter and possibly some that have a channel but have no content as of yet. Scripto, I'm talking to you. Will have an opportunity to get their presence out there.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that next year there'll be a YTPC table.
Well, and there's... Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Digging around today on a Discord server that somebody from the pipe community at large has. And I want to say there were like somewhere around 400 members in that Discord community. And there was a page link. I don't know Discord very well. But anyway, it was a Vegas show check-in, and there were like 56 people that had checked in. So there's definitely a presence out there. It just may not be on YouTube.
Well, and I think the format, my wife was talking about this because, of course, while I'm sitting here brainstorming and going through the logistics, she's over here saying, she's like, not only could you do the lives where you've got people presenting themselves and their experience and on their own channels and doing that kind of thing, but you also have the opportunity to interview those as well at the show. And you can, and not only interview those people at the show, but I mean, you guys see how I run with Derek, and this setup is designed for more than me and Derek. I just, again, have not pushed towards that direction yet because there's a thing called funding. But
one thing that occurred to me that I think, and Mike, you might be able to suggest this. If they take it, they do. If they don't, let it fly. But I was thinking it would have been nice in the program to have the interview or the social media schedule set up and who was scheduled and, whatever.
Like Mike said, I mean, it's a beginning, and that's the best thing that they did was start it for sure.
Well, I mean, you only learn these things, from the first time, second time, whatever. You learn as you go.
Correct.
In years past, I've done interviews at the Vegas show. I've done Marty Pulvers, Shane Ireland, Kaz from Smoking Pipes, Steve Fallon, Mike Murphy, So it can be done. The problem is, in years past, there wasn't a quiet place to sit and do it.
Right.
So they'll need to have almost like a sounded off interview area.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could arrange that, then you could have different channels interviewing different people. You could bring in the Pipe and Tamper podcast to do interviews with different vendors. I mean, they could go through all 70 vendors. You know, each day they could do a half-hour interview with each one. You've got what, 15 hours of show? Or if they did a 20-minute interview, they could get 60 tables.
Right.
So I mean, there's so many things that they could expand on.
You noticed the same thing I noticed, Mike. I mean, when they said media room, I thought it was going to be a room.
Right.
And
I'm sure
yeah. There's so much smoke in the air. Everybody's talking so loud because of the din. The very minimum, and this is a learning curve. No criticism, but at the very minimum, like some portable partitions like you used to have in the old cubicles or something.
Well, the other thing I think that's kind of critical, which is kind of making me want to reach out to Brian Levine and some of the others. I feel like I feel like the next hiccup they might have, and that's any show, is if they just get a generic group to come out and just say go. And I feel like with the amount of presenters we have in the YTPC, there's really good opportunity to have people that can run a system and setup. For one, not every professional group is going to want to go in there where there's a bunch of smoke and their equipment's at risk, things like that. Two, the other thing is that I feel like somebody that does presentation for the YTPC already and has the gear to do it, stuff like that, you know, I'm throwing my name in that hat right off the bat, but also understands the YTPC and can look at value and stuff and actually even assist those that are doing the presenting in what they're doing as well. I feel like, you know, there's so many good presenters in the YTPC
community, but the technology.
Right. There's a lot of people in the community that have technology and presentation that I feel like they have already a good foundation for what the YTPC generally does, how it operates, what all we talk about, a lot of subject matter, things about pipes, things like that. I feel like somebody that helps with that process initially, you know, would be good to take out of the YTPC.
I have a question for you, Martin.
Yes,
Since
sir.
You're stepping into things. Have you talked to Dave at the Briary yet about your idea?
We've emailed back and forth. No, we have.
No.
I've reached out to him. I have.
No.
Do you want me to show you the emails on the thing? I've reached out to him. We're trying to connect.
Sure.
I'm not kidding. I did. I did. We're trying to sync up on a call. Our schedules just sucked at that
both
time.
In bloody Georgia.
I will do it again, and I will call him
He's
again.
in Atlanta.
I will call him. I did not call him.
I would
Email.
say,
I'll
Martin, is when you approach them and say, it's inevitable, you're going to say, well, check out my channel. Just make sure you delete all the hiccups.
No. I want them to see every bit of that so they can expect fully what they're getting into. Because that's the other thing too. The next step, like, it's one thing to do it by your phone. The very next step is once you have gear there, and you know that's when mistakes happen. That's when technical difficulties occur. I mean, that's fact.
Martin,
Yeah, you have to have redundancies, cables, batteries, whatever it is.
Yep.
The thing is, to get your gear there is going to be an expensive shipping. So you're either driving or you're going to have to accept a big cost for shipping and return shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And
unless
the airline doesn't drop.
Unless you can prove to them that you're capable of pulling this off for everybody.
Absolutely.
And maybe that'll be covered in the cost of the ticket. Just an option.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think they need proof of purchase first. I mean, like, I'm not gonna sit there and tell them to fork over anything if I haven't done anything. That's not fair.
You've never talked to Brian Levine, have you?
I have not.
he will not fork over diddly squat until you prove anything.
I don't blame him.
No dummy.
I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. But I mean, that's the thing is like, that's got to be something that has to have, be proof positive. That's a benefit.
You have to show them a value.
Right. 100%. And I think it's possible. Anybody can do it via a smartphone. It just depends on how you want to promote that to the next generation.
I think probably the most likely thing that would happen that I can think of is they decide to hire out a professional crew to do that. But in order to do that, they're gonna have to make sure that they're turning a profit to do it, and you're probably gonna pay $5,000 to $10,000.
Say what, Chad?
I said, in order to hire a crew like that, they're probably gonna have to dole out, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000. I don't know what.
It would be very significant because you also got to think that's equipment in a smoked area if they're not rooming it off.
Yeah, it would seem like it would have to be somebody that is in the pipe world that's not necessarily in the pipe community. Somebody that's interested in it, but that's kind of separated from us and YouTube and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. To me, it seems like that would probably be a more fair representation or a more polished representation of what the show's about. That's just me.
Well, aside from being neutral from the community or whatever, I mean, there is always Jose. Jose is a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, and then if not that I could do it or have any equipment or any desire, but if they were to ask me to do that, I would have to weigh enjoying the show and going to work.
Oh yeah.
Well,
you gotta love doing it, Yeah. And like this is y'all guys, all of you, everybody knows if they watch anything that I do, like
you have someone in the waiting room.
I love to Matthew's back. I love to nerd out on stuff. I like to nerd out on stuff. I enjoy the process of the production. I enjoy the process of learning equipment, everything like that. And you're 100% right, Chad. You got to love that aspect. And for me, I probably would love running a lot of people's shows and just seeing how good I could make their shows and presentations.
And something else we may be thinking is like, it's not like they're not getting the exposure. I'm not tooting my own horn, but the videos that I've put out have gotten more views than anything I've put out in months.
Absolutely.
Same here, Chad.
Because it says Las Vegas Pipe Show, and it's not me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we did those stupid little 5-minute videos at breakfast and lunch with DDT or with Desert Pine Piper.
He did it again.
Jim Dan.
Yeah. Sorry, geriatric moment.
We love you, Dan.
3:00 in the morning. There's like 13 people watching. It's like looking at notifications from YouTube at 3:00 in the morning Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, I think one for sure. I think as for us knowing how we do presentations and we all run the gambit to collectively, I think there's value in all of the opinions we have that can just enhance it further. And again, part of what brings people to a lot of videos too is quality. I mean, you can't replace personality. You can. I don't care how good your stuff is. If your personality is a foot, then it doesn't matter. I don't care how good you look.
I mean, and that was part of my thinking with the lives I did, because everybody's taking photos of the same thing. And I think Chad caught a little bit of it in his, and it was kind of like, everybody sees, the facade, the outside, whatever. What we were showing is what it's like at the tables, what it's like behind the scenes, and then you're so beat. I mean, we're all running the same marathon, and we're all at the same point in the marathon.
Yep.
I think if I could think of one thing that they need to do, and they need to do it fairly quickly, is put out some sort of an email. how did we do? What are your suggestions?
Yeah.
Like a 20 questionnaire or something like that to get some perspective from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, if you're wanting to grow, that feedback is, I mean, you can't put a ultimate value on that. It's so beyond, it's invaluable to have that kind of information.
I have video. What was amazing to me, because a lot of these guys are old school, and Mike can probably confirm this because he's older than all of us, but shows past, you probably didn't have a whole lot of guys walking around that you had no freaking idea who they were, and they're saying we're live, and they're all smiling and waving, you know?
And again, like I said, my objective in terms of saying that the quality, to enhance the quality, is not for us. This isn't really for us. This is capturing new, potentially interested or not even interested people that can propel the hobby further.
Yeah, I mean, if it's done right, even people that were on the edge or not even thinking about it, like, that looks like fun. I got to
exactly. You know, like if everybody did a cell phone of Six Flags, people probably wouldn't go to Six Flags.
Yeah.
I've heard, several different critiques, and not complaints, but just, like what we're doing here, critiques of different things. But from my perspective, I can't think of anything about the show itself that bothered me. I mean, it looked awesome. I thought it was great. But
I watched all the lives.
I do have one complaint. So they had a dessert bar at the dinner.
Oh, yes.
Right, the spoon that was in the whipped cream had fallen into it, and that was a little bit messy.
It's always the dessert bar that gets everybody.
Having been to a number of shows, I've got to say, without a shadow of a doubt, that was the most organized, on time, smoothly run show I have been to, bar none. The badge commemorative to go in and out was brilliant. The pre-check-in was brilliant. Brian has been in the industry a long time. He's been to a lot of the RTDA professional shows. There's a lineup to check in to these professional shows where there's 1,500 tables. So everybody has to pre-book in, pre-register, name badges, the whole bit. So he took some of the professional end of it, brought it into the hobby end of it, and it worked out brilliantly.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
And the chat's making some good points as well.
From other people that have been to other shows, Mike, and this one went really smooth. I mean, what?
So
5 minutes to check in, and you got a badge, and boom, you're through the door.
Yep. And so, for instance, like Chris Garcia, man, this is a good example of why like a semi, it doesn't even have to be professional, but semi-professional that's putting out substantial quality. Chris Garcia said, I did all my small amount of my video by my phone. That's how we all start. And that's exactly how I think everybody should start. You should concentrate on content first and what you want to talk about over quality in terms of video, audio any day. But on top of that,
I'm interested to see what Peter Piper in New York posts up in the coming days with his edits. He had a little tiny camera. I mean, like a skinny, long GoPro. I swear to God, a surf fishing pole, basically.
Yes, I saw that.
360. So whatever, in 360 degrees, he can edit it from anything, and it looks flat. It doesn't look fish-eyed. I'm waiting to see what he produced. He spent hours explaining to me.
And part of what Chris was also saying was, he says, I was shy and wasn't sure of myself at first. Mike got me to make my first video. And that's, to me, that's the win. Like, to me, that's the major win, because there's personalities out there that are going to blow us away at some point. And an opportunity to do that at a pipe show where you're already amped up, you're excited, you're having fun, you're talking to people. Even like, I mean, you've got for a good setup, you've got the potential for interviews. You got the potential for a live just with just the content creator. You got a potential. I could run 4 mics and 2 cameras and capture 4+ people, and you can have conversations amongst a group. I mean, there's so much potential for it that it wouldn't take much to bring somebody new in with a couple veteran guys, a couple veteran presenters, and start coaxing out some of those talents.
You have 4 cameras and 4 mics.
I've got 4 mics. I don't have 4 cameras. I have 2 cameras, one with a wide and one with a center. Okay, I can do up to 3.
Okay, because
I can do 4. I can do 4.
You could probably present something really interesting, a pipe makers round table. You could do tobacco blenders round table. If they could get Russ Willett, you could get Russ, Greg Peace, and Jeremy Bob, Jeremy Dan, whatever his name is. The 3 of them together.
Yep.
To talk about
Greg and Glenn together.
how they attack going to create blends. I mean,
absolutely.
It could offshoot into so many different things.
Absolutely.
You could get Marcus there, and hopefully Mimo one time to discuss, the harvesting and process for briaring. I've talked to Marco Costello and said probably not next year, but within 2 years it would be viable for Costello to even come to the Vegas show.
Yeah, and I think that those ideas, Mike, are what helps generate more ability to branch out further and get the what is it the hackers say, get the signal out. It's like, literally get the signal out. And yeah, I mean, a round table like that would be awesome.
With people like you were talking about, Mike, they say maybe in the next 2 years. But if they make enough changes this year and it's released early enough, some of these people might think, I can't afford not to miss this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot they could do beyond YouTube too. They could do a lot for Instagram as well.
Absolutely.
I think that's one social media that lends itself really well to the hobby. And there are many people that are just on Instagram and not the other platforms that, I saw some content from the show on Instagram, but there's a lot they could do with that platform.
Facebook. What was that, Chad?
Their own website even. I would be willing to bet, Mike can probably answer this. I bet Brian and his partner have probably slept less since Sunday night than they slept during the show.
Mm.
I bet they've been emailing.
Well, I mean, and that's... Go ahead, Mike.
A slew of carvers there.
Yeah.
So there could be a really interesting carvers roundtable. And Chicago in years past even had a number of carvers there, and you would get a two-day pipe carving how-to, where you would get the pre-drilled kit, and you're doing the shaping, and they were showing you how to do this, how to do that. So that, and I mean, they've had Iltang, Teddy, some of the best carvers in the world at the Chicago show, and there'd be a group of a dozen that would pay for 2 days in a workshop with the best carvers of the world.
Yep.
And that's launched a few carvers' careers.
And it behooves them to participate in that, Mike. I mean, like, you're like, because again, the word of the revelation I had was last night talking to you guys, and then in Phil chat. Like, to me, the revelation is in terms of word of mouth. Word of mouth is extremely, extremely important, and the modern word of mouth has absolutely taken flight on social media.
Social media is the word of mouth.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's more mouth than word.
It's,
so did I say that out loud?
You might want to show your shirt too. It's more of that too. So.
That's why it was on the video this morning.
I saw. But that's the thing is, like, and this is actually, and nobody should take this as an overall critique or criticism of the show as much as it is what we're taking from what we saw and what you guys experienced at the show and saying, what's step number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for ultimate growth. And I love everybody's ideas that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are being critical of the show. I think we're from our own perspectives, we're noticing things that could have been done differently. Whether they want to do it or not is up to them.
Just to give you an idea, the video I put up this morning on the show has had 219 views.
Yep.
Wow.
In that short time
That's great.
That's a lot.
Well, I mean, if I go just for instance, like, just to like the Muletown that I did, I mean, you know, again, they were because of the situation, I didn't have the ability to do some of the things I wanted to do, but just the initial highlights, you know, from Muletown, yeah, it's got 838 views, and so there's 838 potential people that see something like that think maybe I want to go to Muletown next year because I got some detailed information or I saw something specific that I really like there that hit in that video. And that's
you never know what's going to trigger viewership. Chad and I were talking about this at the show.
Yep.
My most watched video is a 1/2-inch piece of wire on the distributor from my Ford tractor.
Oh yeah.
You never know.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it like there's so, and this goes back to, there's so much beautiful artwork at a pipe show that the impetus on being able to relay the visuals of those things should have a priority. The different pipes, the different people, the different tins, even the old tobaccos.
That is hard. You know, as a photographer or photography background, and I'm sure Jose would agree, that is very difficult because there's so many people and you can't just occupy the table with, you know, standing there macro photographing.
Absolutely.
Photographing everything.
But there's opportunities for that too. Like, you know, you can have a tabletop view. I do this all the time. Like when I'm looking at a tobacco, or like me and Derek are like just kind of reviewing a tobacco, saying what we like about it. You know, we have an overhead shot, you know, in the jar of what the blend looks like, things like that. And you could do that fairly easily as well with some examples of pipes. So a person from, you know, somebody from one of the tables can come over and you know, we can overlay. And this is also why I say, like, you know, somebody in the pipe community that's good at doing this kind of stuff should you know, that should be something they should get feedback from. You know, that ability for somebody while somebody's talking, like Phil, if you're talking and you talk about a specific pipe that you have laid out right there on the you know, the little platform to view, like, you know, we hit an overhead and just throw that down there as a little box and just show some good visuals of that pipe as you're talking about a pipe, that showing that, relaying that artwork while you're discussing it, to me is invaluable, because part of the thing that makes a pipe so great, at least in my view, is not just the pipe itself, but the story behind it.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of the show is about. You see all the photos in the video, guys standing there, and you see the carver and whoever's in front of his table, and that's what they're explaining.
Yep.
Well, why do you do it this way? Why do you do it that way?
Absolutely.
What was your motivation? Whatever. But keep an eye on Peter Piper in New York.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he does.
If you want, what he can do with that one little camera is unbelievable. It's like $1,000. Don't get me wrong, it ain't cheap. And it has a carbon fiber pole that weighs nothing. And he can do a drone flyover just with the pole with one hand, without a drone. You know, that's how light everything is. So watch that, and if you're interested in that, shoot him a message. He'll explain the technology to you.
I would say also keep an eye on. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, well, this is aimed at you. I have one tip for the show. If you're sitting at a table with a bunch of your friends, don't nod off to sleep.
Oh, no.
Who's going to take pictures?
I have pictures of you nodded off like this. Like.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to say anything, but Mike had moments of clarity during the show.
I was going to say also, everybody should probably keep an eye on Briar Report, because he's already started reposting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see stuff that you might not see on your own.
I would love to see
great call there, Chad.
Crypto and DPP at the show next year. with a freaking interview booth set up, because these two guys, oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the entertainment potential, like the pipe potential, like just the atmosphere in general, like to fully convey that to the rest of the interwebs. I mean, that's, to me, that makes me nerd out. That's where it's like, I look at so many opportunities to be able to see something, not just to be there, but just for me to be able to watch later and see how it went and everything. I mean, that's just,
yeah, I mean, he definitely had 4 class clowns there.
Oh, 4?
John being one of them, me being the other, but I'm more into slapstick kind of stuff. But I couldn't even compete with Jim and John.
Andrew seconds that.
Story. I was talking to Ken Byron Ventures. I don't know if it was him or just somebody that worked for him or whatever. And this isn't my thing, but somebody out there will find it interesting. He was letting me smell blends that they were coming up with, test blends. And he had one called Banana Bread. I would probably never smoke a blend called Banana Bread. But he said, close your eyes and smell this blend. And it smelled exactly like banana bread. I mean, it was just like,
wow.
I mean, that's the problem. So many Russell does it, other guys do it. They come up with so many, and yeah, it smells like it. The problem is, does that translate to the smoke or not?
I think it depends on your palate. Like, I mean, there's some people that, like, I will say this. I taste aromatics better because I don't smoke aromatics often, if much at all. So
I mean, you can ask Charlie. Willie gave him some Captain Black grape. He dug into his pouch and pulled out the smallest corncob pipe I've ever seen in my life. It was like 2 inches long, half 3/4 of an inch and a quarter high, and that is all the tobacco in the rest of the room. Even after he put it out and dumped it out, that was all you could smell around that table.
If I could convince the person to go and do interviews, I would absolutely get the Crowe to go, because I could completely do a mobile setup where I could transmit audio, and that would be hilarious.
You know who would be great together? Peter Piper, New York, and the Crowe would be excellent together.
I mean, because some of those things too, like, there's nothing wrong with going there and having some fun too. Because I think that's what people need to. I feel like there's a lot of misconception. Like, we all understand what's going on there. We've been to pipe shows. We enjoy the camaraderie. Man, like, some of the stuff just to see where people can crack up a bit, have some fun, and even do some, like, satirical stuff is not a bad idea.
The idea, and I think that's what most people miss or misunderstand about. They think it's also a bunch of old codgers, bunch of grumpy SOBs, whatever, snobbies, whatever. It is not. The everybody I met had me in stitches for 3 freaking days.
Absolutely. And that's part of the personality of the people and the show, that just it should be on the airways the whole show.
Yeah, and when you get those personalities together, there's a competition. So each of those guys, myself included, is trying to out funny the other guy, and it just ends up in a cluster, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't get anybody to pass their drink through their nose, which was unfortunate.
Came really close, and I said it a couple times, but I actually didn't blow whatever I was drinking out my nose.
I mean, we can try next year. I'm definitely probably going to reach out to Sid over at the Muletown and see if, based off of that, because he was there, based off that, if he's going to consider something similar. Because, again, his venue's much smaller. So, that might be a little more difficult, but I still might reach out to him and see what he says about it.
I mean, everybody, they're there for the interest in the community, the tobacco, the pipe, the people. I don't think enough people focus on the humor, because everybody has whatever in their life. And if you can laugh I came back as worn out as I am. I still feel sore. It's like the third day hurts more than the day of the workout.
For sure.
You know, and I still feel like that. But the humor is what I can't get past. That I keep breaking up. I'm sitting in my shop and I'm like laughing, and there's no one around.
Yeah, Patrick Grant makes a good call on this too. Like, talking specifically about also focusing on the women that are there as well. Again, like I don't know a more overall welcoming group than the YTPC, who we don't really give a damn.
So he's talking about the YTPC women, not because the other women we don't want to talk about.
Oh my goodness. But the point is that again, showing the diversity of everybody as well. I mean, like there's just, because let's be honest, pipe shows are no different than almost any other show. We go to train shows pretty often because, little man loves trains. The wife and I enjoy that hobby, but we see a lot of the same people at those events. But then you also see a lot of new people that venture out there because the presence is known, especially for the bigger shows. We see this at car shows. We see this at a lot of different venues.
Steph and Skip, and especially Steph, she did a lot of photos, and she has a video up.
Yeah,
it was
a big collage.
Women.
Yeah,
but
tons of them.
There was no interviews with the women.
Correct. And
when I walked around and did my live, I can remember right off the top of my head 4 ladies that I spoke to. I talked to Scotty Pearsall for probably 15 minutes. I didn't interview her, but I didn't interview
Good point
anybody,
there, Patrick.
so
Good point.
that didn't
And
really
Charlie and
count. But there was
Andrew and Troy and
such a
everybody.
wide
Good job.
variety of people there. People
I'm
from
reading your comments. So y'all keep
21 to I don't know who the oldest person there was, but there was probably somebody there that was 90 years old.
It's probably Marty Culver, Mike Gluckler, and the dude in the sweater.
The oldest, I think, would have been Paul Perry's wife, because Paul made it to almost 100, so she's got to be in her 90s. There was a few people that were well past 80 at the show.
Yeah, we should showcase
Quite
those
a few
people.
in their 70s.
Saw them. They were a blur in the background of Steph and Skip's videos.
Well, but and again, anytime y'all see me, Phil, Mike, everybody, anytime y'all see me like where I'm talking, I'm muting in here so I can engage with the chat to make sure I'm addressing some of their stuff. So if you see the little thing pop up that I'm talking, don't worry, because I'm muted on purpose. But I love the idea like of interviewing her. Like I want some of the elders of the community to talk with, to get some of that wisdom, to get some of, because some of these things, like one of the reasons I enjoy the documentation of the lives, having my boy on for lives, all that kind of stuff, is to continue on and almost catalog all these experiences and push this kind of stuff forward, like, and keep it there and keep it fresh and just build it up. I mean, what was the one guy that's like I forget his name. I've watched a few of his videos, but he had a table, and he's basically just a YTPC presenter. And he's got his buddy also doing on it too, that he's growing in the pipe community. I think it was like Pipe Up or Piping It Up.
Get piped. Get piped.
Yes, Get Piped. That's which I love that tagline. I'm gonna claim it and tell him he owes me royalties, because that's a great one. But I mean, like those are things like, those guys, we have enough within the community that collectively there's almost no way, even if the people at the show didn't want it, we couldn't set something up to just blow the socks off on the world.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, and I think Chad, Mike would probably agree that they definitely can't ignore us now.
According to Charlie, they but it doesn't mean they necessarily like you.
But we accepted it.
Absolutely. Like Andrew said, my buddy first time at show sat with Jeff Gasick. Sorry, I can't read it because it's small. At dinner and got to talk to one of the best pipe makers today. He saw our interaction as a group, and he's hooked and wants to be part of the YTPC now. He's part of it, Andrew. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, he's part of it. He just, as a pipe maker, there's always kind of how much of that you want to be.
And Andrew's friend Robert actually lives here in San Jose. We exchanged numbers and fully plan on getting together.
Nice. I think there's a ton of unrealized potential. And I think hashing these things out is very, very important because again, you're just going to get such a dynamic range of ideas that it's extremely important, like Chad's saying, to provide feedback, however they choose to provide it. And I think they should have, Chad, just like you're talking about in terms of having some kind of survey or something just for feedback, like a Survey Monkey or something, feedback for the people that attended. I feel like there should be a virtual survey for those that have also watched content of
Brian Levine, refer him to this video, and then that's just 3 of us talking, but that were there.
Martin, if you want, email me and I'll give you Brian Levine and Dave Peterson's email address. You can invite them in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to, I mean, I think first off, I'd love to see them on a Zoom just to have conversation, what their ideas are. And because again, this would be good exposure for them to just have a round table with a few people and those that have attended, those that have watched, and they're getting both ends of the spectrum. Mike, that's actually a great idea.
Brian, because he interviews, so it's mostly the pipe carvers or the industry. I think this video, and this is why I've been making a concerted effort not to drop the F-bomb as punctuation marks tonight, would be a perfect example.
Edit out the first 15 minutes of what I said. I got you, Phil. Understood. Let me do that.
You could see this and, take it for what it's worth, but, maybe give him a little different perspective than what they may be planning right now.
I guarantee you he's watching the videos that have, Vegas Pipe Show in the title. I guarantee you he's seen them. If he's fully vested in the idea of that form of word of mouth, it would boggle my mind if he hadn't seen those already.
I would say, there's a reason a lot of us here right now gravitated towards the tables and people we did, because we don't all have a starched collar.
I just burned my mouth with this torch lighter. Go ahead.
I sat down at a table with, there were 2 older gentlemen. One of them was probably in his 70s, late 70s probably, and a younger fellow probably in his maybe early 40s from Canada. I didn't know him from Adam. And sat there and talked to them for maybe 15 minutes and just had a great time. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to email Brian just to thank him and give him
100%.
Just a note to say,
just for throwing the damn thing.
Yeah. I am going.
Hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but I got to run. It's getting past my bedtime, so
take care.
You have a good night. Thanks for the conversation.
Be well.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging out with you. But yeah, I think I would say that something like this conversation, not all the time, but, call it quarterly, whatever, something like that. There should be some constructive roundtable for people participating in shows, because again, I don't think this is going to be a one-off, and it really shouldn't be if everybody's paying attention, that we have a vested interest in our hobby.
Charlie in here giving some feedback.
I know. I send the link out, Charlie.
Well, I can say this. I talked to and listened in on quite a few different conversations, and I heard nothing where people were complaining or were upset about something. So I think, generally speaking, everybody enjoyed it, had a good time.
It looked like that.
Yeah.
Everybody, like all the videos and everything, conveyed that pretty daggum well. I
said this last night, and I said it in an email to Mike, but Mike and Nish, and Chad said it, and so I just referred people to Chad's video when I did mine, but I was like, and Chad nailed it. This is something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. But I don't think it should be a rarity. at the same time. I think this is a beginning, and I think it's a turn. Everybody got done with COVID. Everybody, so to speak, people are ready to get out, and I think this was a great turn in what will go forward. There was a lot of people that got a lot of exposure and ability to present. There was a big rash of people that went out there and started making more videos and things like that. So the hobby is obviously growing in social media. And I think the turn of having the pipe show and the fact that they threw that sucker together and said, let's do this, is the exact attitude you need.
The timing, post COVID, whatever mandates, I think that there's a whole bunch of cumulative factors here.
For sure.
A change in the management or directorship of this show. I think, timing. Everything seemed to click on this one.
There's a show in 3 weeks.
Where the hell's that at?
Texas.
Oh, well.
Texas. That's the first time I've ever heard Mike with the Texas accent.
Texas.
I wish I could get to the Texas show.
You have somebody waiting.
Oh, I have somebody waiting. Oh, I love Andrew. There he is, my man.
This Andrew Srigliano?
Yes, it is. The Bluefin Piper. Welcome aboard, sir.
I'll tell you one other thing I saw at the show that I thought it would be really cool if it spread. There was the San Diego Pipe Club was there with it. 10 members of them came up all together.
Nice.
It would be really cool if pipe clubs like that were able to make more shows, en masse like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Reed Bender Bud, Ray.
Oh, I love Reed Bender Bud. Well, I mean, I think this is a good way to start also kind of solidifying those groups too, Chad. Correct me if you think I'm off base on this. But I think some of these shows are a great way to also not only solidify some of those relationships because they already got them, but they're also having those experiences together and they're going to remember it, just like Phil is talking about how, this is a great memory, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. I think it can get people to solidify relationships further as well as bring more people into the fold of those individual groups as well. They might meet somebody.
I had a guy stop me on the escalator when I was looking at my feet. He's going the other direction. I'm trying not to get the family jewels caught, fall face plant to get the jewels caught in the escalator. But
thank God you didn't get the jewels caught.
Ended up talking. He's from Woodland, where I used to work, and 20 miles, 15 miles away, 20-minute drive away. And he told me he handed me a business card and for the tobacconist that I wasn't even aware of, even have worked there. But he said they have a meeting the last Sunday of every month.
Yeah. Chad, what were you saying on that tail end? I missed that.
We talked a little bit about this last night, but your perceptions of people at the pipe show that you meet.
Yep.
And I'll say Andrew is even more bald in person than he is.
Oh, shiny. Hello, Mr. Clean. How are you?
Andrew,
nice. Thank you, Chad.
I know I was bitching about once I finally got some fresh batteries in my camera and everything. Everywhere I went, Mike was there, and I had to focus on Mike's head to balance the white balance and the exposure levels. Otherwise, everything came out overexposed.
Hey, Phil, read between the lines.
Oh, wow. You got a twofer. You got a twofer,
Mike
Phil.
Give me the Hawaiian good luck sign.
Wow. Yeah.
Martin, I had I didn't get to talk yesterday. I had a story for you.
Compensated.
What you got, Andrew?
I thought you'd appreciate this. I don't think anyone else mentioned it, but Adam Davidson, it's a pretty well-known pipe maker, had taken some pipes and in their natural state before they were stained,
nice,
and actually smoked them with some brisket he was doing.
What?
And actually stained. Not only did he had them set up so that the smoke coming off the brisket was going through the pipes, and ran it for I don't know how long, and I don't know how long it was, but the pipes actually stained up, like it looked like they had been stained from the smoke. And then when you actually smelled them, you could actually smell the brisket. It was pretty cool.
That's great. I would probably be stupid enough to eat it.
I've been telling people for years. Everybody asks, "What do you do with the fails or the cutoffs?" I said, "I use them in the barbecue or the smoker." You wouldn't believe the flavor briarwood puts onto a smoked meat.
You're right. I wouldn't. That's why I use post oak.
No, I'm gonna send you a box of freaking briar juice. It'll blow your mind.
I mean, I would be curious. What was that big, huge? Somebody had a huge bulbous briar root with what was it? Was it a snake?
No, it was just
it was just the briar burl. I mean, that a lot of the older guys have those.
It's both amazing how big it was and amazing also how small it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was. That's the first time I'd ever seen one in person like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing demonstration just to see, because I mean, you got to think it's large and it's very cool how large and gnarled it is, but at the same time, like how many, like what comes out of that, the artwork that comes out of that is amazing. And sometimes it's like anything else. Like I always wonder who was the first person to decide that was what we're gonna do.
If you think about some guys running around Italy, Greece, whatever, Spain, and the labor that's involved in chopping these out.
Oh yeah, and seasoning them and everything.
Taking it, trimming it up, boiling it for 24 hours or maybe more, several baths, and then aging it, keeping it damp so it doesn't crack out. I mean, there's a lot of labor involved in it. Then it gets to the artisan, has to dry a few more years, whatever. There's a whole lot involved there.
Cloud Bear, they were talking about it, Steve. I don't know if they were saying hey to you, but hey, Steve.
You can still buy it at this whatever price is amazing.
I think that's an amazing process. Andrew, what all did you enjoy about the show? What any surprises, any things that kind of bolstered you up? Would you attend it again? Like what are your overarching thoughts for those that didn't get to attend?
Yeah, I definitely would. I definitely echo what the folks said yesterday on your live. I mean, it was an amazing experience. I'll definitely be there again. Getting to meet a lot of folks from the YTBC I hadn't met before live was really the highlight. Nish, I could say Nish is as generous as you think Nish is. He's even more generous. We had
more generous.
So many little stories. I was one point I was getting coffee and. I was trying to buy coffee for a few of my friends and at Starbucks there, and out of nowhere, just, I'm getting ready to pay. Nish just swoops in out of nowhere with his little Starbucks card and pays for all of us and just walks away. Classic. But I mean, the pipes, the people, I mean, everything was really, awesome. I'll say
we're going to get him back in just a second.
I hope so.
One second, he'll reconnect.
He was one of the last day and a half. Actually got to hang with him. Andrew is a very cool dude.
Yeah, he I mean, it's again like I think there's value in a collective meeting, even if it's just something like in this format, just for us all to get together and talk about these things. And I think it's value to everybody out there that it has any curiosity about it.
So before Andrew gets back, or you get him back, I want to ask Andrew a question.
Go for it. I'm here.
Did you get choked up leaving and teary-eyed leaving and that day and the following day?
Oh, definitely some emotion there, Phil. I mean, it was hard to leave, and coming back to reality is pretty tough. I'll say that for sure. No doubt.
I was talking to Chad earlier, and I said it's amazing, and we're all of us in this with Martin tonight. But it was amazing. We're still all sore from laughing, forgetting shit, walking miles, stair stepping. but I feel like I got hit by the YTPC freight train. Literally, I feel like roadkill, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Definitely. And Martin, I just one last thing. A couple things, just quickly. The they did the raffle, right? Highlight for me. They did the raffle. I paid $1 for a raffle ticket, and I ended up winning a very, very special pipe from Nate King that was really amazing. I was very very lucky. One of the nicest pipes they gave away, so that was pretty cool. Especially since I was extremely disappointed in my lack of follow through in a certain pipe that a certain someone from the YTPC swooped in and picked up from our good buddy Jay Mouton, and I'm still regretting that. But
got some of
he
that
knows who he
FOMO.
is, and I love him. So
that's right.
You did it right. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and again, I don't know who else is attending other shows. I would love if anybody else is attending shows, whether it's Texas or anywhere else. I'd love to get their feedback in some of these chats to get some of that feedback. I think it's valuable information for these guys, because Brian, all these guys that are throwing this show on, Sid, anybody that's putting on a show, the last thing they want is to see a reduction in participation. That is the last thing they want. And
honestly, having my own reservations going into this and outside my comfort zone. I mean, literally for 12 years, all I did was in the shop into the house. But after this, now I have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever else happens in my life, I'm going to squirrel away money to be there for the next one with these guys. It almost brings me to tears again. I mean, that's how much it meant to me.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's part of what people need to know, Phil. People need to hear the conveyance of your experience. I mean, how many times do we look at reviews of things? How many times do we watch to see how somebody's experience is in something and make a decision, not quite like a review, but just on, how much fun they had. And man, when you see people having fun, and when you see people enjoying themselves, and when you see people genuinely happy, my wife wants to go to the damn show. Okay. We're going to work on saving up for it.
Squirreling away money to go to Rio or Hawaii or something, forget it. Go to the Vegas Pipe Show next year.
Yeah. And I mean, this is what people need to know. I feel like this is something that's great to get out there on a regular basis.
And for me too, Martin, I got to talk to so many pipe makers, but just being someone who hopes someday to make some pipes like we're on at the show. I mean,
you've done good. I watched the videos. They look good, man. You're getting there.
Jay Mouton and Nate King, they were just like, yeah, come, you got no excuse. Come to my shop. Come work with me. Come hang. So, I mean, it's...
We had a conversation, and Andrew was very humble. I said, dude, I love your work.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, blah, blah, blah.
I don't see people wanting to express themselves and create usable art for everybody a negative overall. And I'll say this in terms of businesses. There's a reason why if you see a McDonald's, you see a Burger King, you see a Taco Bell, you see all these places culminate together, not because they're all trying to drive prices down, but because they're trying to get traffic up. And I think
the best place to put a shoe store is next to another shoe store.
At 100%. And that's, yes, can there be cannibalism for sure? Yeah, I mean, it happens. But the idea is that this, everybody has very unique ways of expression, and when you're conveying any form of art, whether it's writing, whether it's music, whether it's pipe making, whether it's a tobacco blend, when you're trying to convey a form of art, you're trying to convey emotion. You're trying to convey a feeling, and you want
you're expressing your soul.
100%. And And that's not lost on people that get to experience the art that somebody else has made. And sometimes it takes a while to understand. Sometimes you never understand, but you can still appreciate everything about it, and you can grow in those things. And man, there's just watching you guys. Of course, I have a massive amount of regret, wishing I could get there. At the same time, you know, I love seeing it from the outside because I now have a different perspective.
Well, hopefully, you know, whatever videos we did from this group here will give you an insider's view.
Absolutely. Well, they did, and I've watched them over and over again, and I'm still watching them because I'm just checking different things out and just enjoying all the parts of it. And so, to me, the biggest part of this that I pull from it is what an amazing experience, and I want everybody to experience it. And
question for Mike.
I wasn't there. Rabbit Dunn died. She said she was 18.
Oh, right.
No, you told me that before the show.
Somebody visited the Bunny Lounge while he was there waiting for everybody to get there.
If Mike, if it was your show and you were running it, what would you do different? Aside from what was aforementioned.
I would try to bring more of the old collectors back into the fold, and I would have instead of a check-in at 5 p.m, I would say, okay, we start at noon, and it's for collectors only, not vendors, and it's not for selling. It is a 5 hour of bring what pipes you've got and trade them with the collectors.
Yeah.
A trading session.
They do that at auto shows.
Hands, only trading.
Yeah, they do that at auto shows. They do it at train shows. Yeah, Mike, you're spot on.
That, Mike, and I asked this question is because we talked about this at the table the last day.
Yeah, the old pipe shows in the past, there was more collectors doing trading and very few vendors selling. And now it's gone the other way. Very few collectors, and it's all vendors. And I think there needs to be a better mix or an increase in collectors that are willing to not just, you know, keep collecting pipes for a year, then go to the show to try and sell them, but go there to trade. Because for the younger collectors that are just coming into it, that have got Stanwells, Petersons, Savinellis, that want to go to that next level, if you take, you know, 5 or 6 pipes, trade them for one higher quality pipe, it gets you into it. The first show I went to in Los Angeles, in 95, I traded, I believe, 18 assorted pipes, Stanwell, Peterson, that type of thing, to get my first 5 Costellos. And it was a straight trade. So I think got me going.
And tell me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I think it's been 6-7 years since I saw the last trade, and people were literally coming in their cars with a suitcase full of pipes or whatever, and that's all it was just trading, bartering.
Martin, you've got a Tinder hot in your live. You need to.
Oh, son of a bitch. Okay.
It's kind of Mike. That's kind of like the Friday before Chicago, right? Where they allowed kind of anybody to just come and bring their pipes and do sales and do trades and things like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for the vendors.
Yeah. And I think too, Mike, even along those lines, even for tobacco blenders, I know Cloud Bear is in your live right now, Martin, and I'll give a shout out to Cloud Bear. I had seen him on Instagram, and I got a chance to meet him, and he is quite a character, hilarious, fun guy to hang out with, but a hell of a blender that I hadn't met before. And I got some of his tobacco at the show, and it's fantastic. So getting to try and meet some of these blenders that are making stuff that you don't get to see otherwise is another great thing.
There's another
Troy,
thing.
go get your date.
Andrew, thank you, because we have a few guys, 2 guys in particular I can think of outside of Cloud Bear that have blended tobacco, and they do it because they like doing it. That's their gig. That's their thing. They enjoy it, but they don't charge for it. They buy it, they invest in it, and they send it out to people and get feedback. And I think that's cool. I think that's something that they should be able to access at the pipe shows as well.
Hey, Mike, I want to pick your brain about what you were talking about in terms of the collectors, and if you bear with me, I got a couple of questions. One, in terms of you're talking about that new collector. I understand, a lot of times, doing the trades, because again, my son and I and my wife, we go to car shows, we go to train shows, we go to a lot of those stuff, and there's basically swap meet times for that stuff. And what I enjoyed about the car show version of the swap meet is the public got to kind of visualize, even though we're kind of not roped off, but obviously you knew what was going on. How do you expose the younger pipe smokers, pipe collectors to the swap meet portion, to the collector portion of the swap, and that way they can get their inspiration and understand the process and be able to see that that's the route they want to go. And then the second part of the question is there also something similar? And again, this is my own ignorance. Is there something similar when it comes to like vintage tins? Because there's a lot of vintage tins out there, and there's a lot of people that have vintage tins. Is there also kind of a swap meet for that as well?
Well, currently, there's probably more pipes being traded in the collector community between friends than there are pipes being sold. And I'm talking the serious collectors that are vintage Dunhills and high-end Eversons and things like that. The friendships that are made between collectors, and they'll work multiple pipe deals that can take 2 and 3 years to culminate. So it's having, well, for instance, smoking pipes could even be at the show in that portion with all their estate pipes. And they could have the younger guys coming in and saying, yeah, I'd like to get a Costello and trade 3 7Ls for 1 Costello.
Got it.
Because smoking pipes will take them in, clean them, make their money back, and then some. And it's just a way of getting things going. And you'll see some of the higher end collectors, like the high end Cheriton collectors, coming in with, high end Lane era selecteds and trading them, 2 or 3 for a Coronation and things like that. And then the younger guys get to see, wow, I mean, I just saw, a pipe deal that was like worth $4,000 happen between 2 guys. And wow. It gets their juices flowing. It could be done.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about creating legacies and a process to start bringing in those younger crowds. So I think, just a process for those that are interested to kind of maybe even shadow some of those more experienced ones, and even in terms, not specifically an official coach, but just the process of, because it's an intimidating process. I know it was intimidating for me in different shows that I go to for other things, not pipe related. But once you're in there, and once you've made the relationships, that's when it gets a lot easier. And I think segues into those relationships and introductions. Again, those people need to be vetted to make sure that they're serious and that there's something they want to do. Nobody needs to be wasting their time. At the same time, I think you could have collectors sitting there on the sidelines that very well might just dig straight into it.
Yeah. And all they have to do is have like a half day dedicated to, bring your pipes to trade only. There is no money that is allowed to be exchanged. It's a trade only event. So 2 pipes for 1, or, they might have 3 that you want that are low end for 1 high end that you've got. I mean, who knows, but that's the way to do it. And it would eliminate, the carvers wouldn't be there, because no carver is going to say, oh, yeah, I'll take 3 Stanwells and 2 Savinellis for one of my artisan made pipes because they're not set up to resell it. But you could get the vendors and the collectors. I think it has potential.
And that's cool you say that, Mike, because in the photography world, it's very similar. That there are less than a handful of photography outlets that, I can trade, vintage glass, prime lenses, whatever.
Oh yeah, especially glass. What do you also not on top of that? Just thinking about that line of thinking, Mike, specifically when it comes to some of those to those pipe trades, is there an outreach to some of the people that have collected pipes from, for instance, like grandparents and uncles and whoever, to sometimes even come in and help identify? Because I can tell you right now, I've got pipes that I couldn't tell you. And I don't know what kind of resource that would take in the community. But I mean, even somebody just to be welcome to come in and say, hey, why don't you come and tell us what you have, and welcome some of those people as well. They might not be, full into the hobby, but what an amazing amount of treasure is probably sitting out there that is no longer in circulation.
Years ago, like the last guy that worked for K. Woody back in the day, and K Woodies at a certain point could be hard to identify where they were manufactured, which entailed Yellow Bowl as well. But years ago, this guy was like 90 something, and he used to see it on the forums. He was able to identify because they worked at the factory during that time period.
Right.
He's gone now, and so now you have this gap where a lot of that information is lost.
Yeah, and I mean we don't need to lose any more either.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin.
Yes, sir.
There were people at that show that I would consider experts in their field and experts in pipes, not necessarily their field. That if sitting at a table, if someone was to bring in 10 pipes, that would be able to look at them and say, okay, yeah, oh, that's a GBD, and that was made pre-Cadigan by this and this and this, and explain what's going on. There was Rex Poggenpol was there. So you might have some obscure Danish pipe or Scandinavian pipe, and Rex would be able to tell you, what factory made it or who the carvers were. Rick Newcomb was there, so you've got someone that knows a lot about high-end Danish pipes. Greg Peace was there. Marty Pulvers was there. There was a plethora of older school guys that do know how to look at a pipe, even one where there's no nomenclature, and give you a 90% chance to tell you what factory made that pipe in what approximate vintage or decade.
I happened to be coming up on you. I think it was you and Glenn. I think we were looking at Caminettos or Costellos. And you were telling Glenn, this is, buy it because this is, whatever carver. It's not the other guys, whatever. This is so and so. And that blew me away that you could recognize.
Yeah, Glenn bought a full bent Caminetto egg, and due to the stem logo stamp and the stamping on the pipe, I could tell that it was an Ascorti Radice made very early Caminetto. And yeah. I am not an expert. I just know a little tiny bit. So guys like Greg Peace that have a collection of over 400 GBDs to draw information from in years of collecting, Rex Poggenpol, those guys, they're the experts.
Yeah, I mean, if Gregory has 400 GBDs, what the hell else does he have, And the way you described him at the show, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but Mike was telling us, you see Gregory Pease at former shows, and he's got the pipe, and he is, he's literally got it in his face. And I have a photo of Gregory I told Mike, I say, I have a photo of him doing that. He's literally like this, looking at it.
It's like, Mike, it's like the Antique Roadshow portion of pipes, right?
Yeah.
People bring in these
Yeah.
pipes and you don't know what you have, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's guys there that I would say have more knowledge on pipes than those antique dealers that have knowledge in a very focused area. These guys have knowledge of a wide area.
Yeah, Andrew picked up on exactly what I was asking. Again, I definitely was not trying to be comical in the question overall, which is why I didn't word it that way. But Andrew's spot on, because I think there are legacy collections out there that, sadly won't see the light of day ever again. But I think that's something that should be promoted. But and that was the follow-up question to that too. What about vintage tins? Is there anything like that with vintage tins? And I don't know. I don't know specifically.
I don't think it would go for tins so much, because trading tins is a gamble.
Sure, absolutely.
Let me finish, Phil, and I'll tell you why. Because if it's a vintage tin, you don't know the condition of the contents.
Right.
You can shake it and it may sound good.
Yep.
You may pop it and it could be dust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tins is a little more difficult.
Yeah,
you
makes
pay your
sense.
money, you roll the dice, you take your chance.
Yep.
Well, perfect
The
example.
problem with doing the antique roadshow thing with pipes is that you're going to get somebody coming in, and I guarantee it's going to happen, and they're going to say, this was my uncle's, and he got this pipe from a famous local doctor who had his name stamped on it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell me, it says here, Dr. Grabo, what is this worth?
Yeah.
A lot of times the sentimental value doesn't equate to monetary value.
For sure.
Exactly.
And again, I think that's why, you can't do it like the road show, but I think having the opportunity for people to bring in what they have, because some people would be happy just to see things. I mean, when we went to an estate sale, my son and I, and we went and it's somebody that, lived local to a friend of mine. So, we knew the neighbor and stuff like that. And the older gentleman had some older trains. What was the size on the trains? It was the HOs, weren't they? Yeah. So they were HOs. What was it? Do you remember the brand? What brand they were?
It was a mix of brands.
Okay. Yeah. It was a mixed brand. And so we went in there.
Whatever, yeah.
Right. We went in there and we looked at his whole set. My wife immediately goes into mom mode and starts organizing the whole set and breaking them up into track size, everything. And the family that was doing the estate sale were so astounded that they practically let it go for nothing, just because they saw how much fun the boy was having, how much my wife and I were paying detail to their late father's collection. And in their hearts, all they wanted really is that they wanted it to go to somebody that was actually going to enjoy it. And the boy enjoys it to this day. And I don't think that pipes are exclusive to that type of desire either. I know some probably would hold on to most for sentimental, but I think some people would just want to let them go just because either they're taking up space or because they'd rather people actually enjoy it.
All I've got to add to that, which is very little, but when you asked Mike that question before he started answering, I was thinking it would be difficult to take just about any pipe into a place like that and not have somebody know what it was.
Sure.
And on the tobacco side of it, I saw a tin of something, I don't recall what it was. It had a price tag of $50 on it. And someone had mentioned wanting that blend. And I walked back over to the table and I said, hey, I saw a tin of so-and-so over there for $50. And immediately, I think it was Mike and Glenn, I think, and maybe even a third person chimed in, said, no, you can get that for $35, no problem. Mm-hmm. So it's like the knowledge is out there.
For sure.
Yeah. I saw, and this was an old post from Pipe Stud. It was like 2-3 years old, but I saw that he loved Syrian Latakia, whatever you want to say, but he especially liked the Brebbia number 9 Syrian flake. And I happened to have a tin with me, and I I have a few Brevia Syrian here. When everybody was buying McClellan, I was buying Syrian. So I took that with me and with the intent of sharing it with these guys. And I saw a pipe stud there, and I thought about it for a long time. I said, fuck it, we're doing it. So I went over and I said, I saw in one of the blogs that if you wanted to have more Brevia number 9 in your cellar, I said, here. I said, what do you want? He said, that's an expensive tin. I said, I don't want anything. It's yours. So then he asked me my card, and I reached in, and I was like, damn it, I'm out of cards already. So he just took my name, whatever. But that's kind of what it's about, too. I guarantee you he remembers some asshat from nowhere that he knows from nobody came up and gave him a tin of Brevia, So.
The wife's going to check out. It's 12:05. She's got to be up at 6.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
She's been listening to us the whole time.
Schlaf gut.
Dankeschön. Du auch. Tschüss.
Bitte.
Gute Nacht.
Andrew, before I check out, I just want to say I have more to say about you than your hairstyle. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you, and I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity.
Thank you, Chad. Same here.
I agree with that, Chad. And Andrew and I had a conversation. I was jealous he was as jealous of my hair as I was of his eyebrows.
The things that you remember.
Andrew and I didn't get to hang out as much as we did the year in 2019.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Because all the rest of the YTPC reprobates were too lazy to get their butts there. Andrew.
All of those sorry sons of bitches.
Exactly.
How dare they? How dare they? I don't know. I love this talk overall. I don't know if anybody else is entertained by it, but I love this kind of talk overall. Like, I feel like this is probably one of the most constructive lives and informative that I've probably not live in terms of like live streams, but just like chats and stuff like that. And I hope it doesn't lose steam. And I feel like
I would agree with that. I was thinking this is probably the most constructive live I've been in on anybody's live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying before, Chad, too, or Martin, that when you guys were talking about things they could improve on, I mean, the thing about having a room, the way they had set up the tables to do lives and things, like they did a Smoking Pipes mystery tobacco review, right? But it just was set up in a way that you couldn't really like sit there and appreciate it, and I love watching those reviews when they were on YouTube. But so, I mean, anything they could do to make it more accessible for people to kind of sit and listen and watch and participate would be great.
And this going back, and Mike touched on it, I touched on it. Tell me what you think, Andrew. I think if they had at least sound barriers, partitions up, people would have come over and said, what's going on? Probably would have got a lot more interaction in the quote unquote media room.
Yeah.
But as it was, there was so much din and noise and smoke. People just walked by like, oh, somebody's filming.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, Phil.
Well, again, it's a first step, and that's the feedback, like Chad was saying. That's feedback that's valuable to them, because again, it's very easy to see somebody's level of understanding, expertise, what have you, when they try something new. And
this is not meant to be just critical; it's meant to be constructive. It's
for
just
sure
something we observed, and nobody's going to get it right the first time. None of us do.
For sure. But I think for one, I'll say two things again about the chat that we're having. One, I think this is valuable. I think this gives, and the more people we can have to join the Zooms, especially with different shows, I think is only going to be more and more valuable overall to the community as a whole, to see how everybody's doing it in different places and what we can take from that's good there, something to improve on there. Like, you know, I think all those things are great. I think exposure to other people that you know are getting because we, you know, we all do our videos after going to a pipe show. We all do it, but we don't always convey everything. We hit the big points that we recall, that we wrote down and stuff like that. But I think the dialogue portion of this is where it makes all of those different ideas that we talk about separately in our separate contents kind of flourish and kind of tease out some of the nuances of the things we talk about. And
I agree with that, and I think from the YTPC members that were there was a bit of that, but I think most of us focused on what it was at the tables, not so much on, you know, everybody kind of touched on that lightly, but they focused more on the personalities, the personas at the tables.
For sure. Mike, what were you saying?
I was also going to say, you've got to remember, a lot of us have respect for each other. So what happens in Vegas?
According to Cliff, it might very well kill you.
Wow.
I didn't post it.
Yeah. I was waiting, Chad. I refreshed a few times today.
You're free to post it, Chad. Just remember, every action is a reaction.
I have been reacted upon enough times from you, Mike, that I learned my lesson years ago.
Hey, I got taught a lesson by Niche, and you well know it.
Yeah, great.
You can tell them the story.
I want to hear this one.
You know what? You know what, though? I don't know, Chad. I don't know, because I think there's also value in some of those small things that everybody keeps.
No, if Mike says it and tells Chad, I want to hear Chad say it.
Of course you do.
You can tell the story.
Okay, so we had gone to breakfast, lunch, dinner several times, multiple people, small groups, big groups, and Nish picked up the check quite a few times, or pretty much every time that I was with him, he picked up the check. And we went out, I don't remember the circumstances, but there were like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us there. And the waitress comes over and says, okay, your bill's taken care of. And Mike says, yeah, I know, it was me. I took care of it. And then about, I don't know, 10 minutes later, something like that, the waitress comes back over and says, I may have the story wrong, but she says, your bill's been taken care of. Mike's like, yeah. She goes, no, it was another person that took care of your bill. And Nish, I have a theory about Nish. I think he's like 38 different people, because he was everywhere all the time. He must have had little drones flying around that show somewhere, because like Andrew said, he just out of nowhere pops up. There you go.
Swoops in and just...
I was sitting with Nish at the table when Mike was across the room.
Did we lose Martin?
Nish called the waitress over, or the waiter over, and said, whatever they're drinking, don't look. Whatever they're eating, it's on me. And they're like, she said, don't point, don't look. You know?
Yeah, the waitress came over and said, yeah, your brother took care of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we lost Martin.
I think so.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm grabbing something. I'm letting you guys run for a second on it.
Was like that, and I didn't have every meal with Chad or Mike either, but I had almost every meal with Nish. And Nish, if he saw somebody, he was like, boom, I'm taking care of it.
Me and Doug were sitting with him and his wife, and these 2 guys walked in. I don't know who they were, and one of them said something to Nish, or he said something to them. I don't remember what it was. When Nish got ready to pay the bill, he says, you see these 2 guys over here? Give me their check too.
Yeah.
I'm still here,
That's
country.
Awesome. Yeah, we were we had dinner. Nish invited me to dinner the first night, and I was with just Jay and Nish, and I mean, we had a great conversation about fishing and all stuff that I had no clue about, Nish. And then you know, we went and had dinner at the sushi kind of place, right? And Jay had never had sushi before in his life. He didn't know what wasabi was. I was like, and it was just like, it was just a great experience, you know. And it was.
Thought it was split peas and blew his sinuses out.
Yeah, tell him it's the ice cream that's the finisher. Go right ahead.
Guys, I'm going to check out. You guys enjoy your night.
Night, Mike. Thanks for doing it in the Zoom.
No worries. Martin's the host. It's all good. Enjoy.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
No worries.
So, I mean,
thank you, Martin.
Yeah.
I have to mention, Chad and I, we had breakfast, and Mike opened his room, and everybody was smoking everybody out there, and I'm sure Mike was tired, but we all hung out there the last night, and Mike was very gracious. Yeah, I mean,
he always is.
I would have been in geezer mode. Get the fuck out of my room. I'm tired now. You know?
Mike is an ever-flowing prickly basket.
He's a self-described asshole.
For sure. That is overflowing with generosity. And,
unbelievable. Yeah.
And again, this is, and I say this too, like, because again, my ambition, I try not to cloud by regret in terms of, as much as I want to see the community grow and see it flourish, it's not unbeknownst to me that with growth comes pain, and then things that get introduced that things are not necessarily wanted. No different than a small town that increases in size and prospers, yet doesn't prosper always the way they originally wanted. And so it's
I know I've told Chad and Andrew this story the night it happened, moments after it happened, but I was a huge follower of Marty Pulver's.
You got that right, Charlie.
For the last 12, 13 years about a year before I started carving pipes, making pipes. And I didn't know anybody. The only person I knew that knew shit about pipes was Marty Pulver's. So I talked with him a few times in emails, and I knew the Prince was his favorite shape. And being a new carver, I wanted to maximize every piece of the wood I could. I sent him like a group 27, like softball-sized prints. And he took it and, you know, told me, I can send it back to you. This is going to be, you know, a museum piece, which was a polite way of saying, like, wow, this is a fucking golf club.
It's a smokable golf club. That's one thing.
Yeah, but he humored me. He did take it to his smoking club in San Francisco and smoked it. And now I think about it, he must have really got razzed about it. And how are you going to let this guy down? But if he hadn't been honest with me in a polite way, I probably would have given up and not pursued it. But I went over to Marty Pulver's the last night, and I said, sir, I want to thank you for being so kind to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here now, 12 years later. And I blame you totally for introducing me to this ass hat, Mike Gluckler.
You know a lot of ass hats there, Phil. I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
And Marty Pulver's laughed his ass off. And I said, I'm telling you this only because I fully expect you to relay this conversation to Mike. It's guaranteed. And he gave me a fist bump. You know?
Martin, I got to pop out, but I want to say one thing to tag on to something you said just a couple of minutes ago.
Yep.
About the community and growth pains. I watched this person on YouTube, and I heard him say something the other day, and he was saying, look for the good, the truthful, and the beautiful. And if you do that in the YTPC, you will find it.
That's right.
Absolutely find it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, brother, I appreciate you doing this, and I'm gonna hop off.
Absolutely. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep doing this regularly, Chad. So I hope to see you in. And I think
anybody else out there in chat that watches this and enjoys it or doesn't enjoy it, hop on.
Absolutely.
Show some new faces out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed, Chad. Chad, thank you so much as always. You're always appreciated, sir. Good friend.
Love you,
Andrew.
Hey, Chad.
Speaking on that, Andrew, what would you like to see specifically? And we're talking about growth. What do you think are some important aspects? Whether it's the shows, content, whatever. I mean, floor is yours on things you would like to see to continuously give exposure to this wonderful hobby and how we can better serve not just ourselves and what we create, but the community as a whole. And because I think the camaraderie and everything that I saw from an outsider looking in on y'all's experience is extremely uplifting, like in my soul. Like there's not a live I didn't see where I grinned from ear to ear on everybody's experience and just overwhelmingly happy to see how wonderful things were going. So, I mean, I'm just curious on your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's about, Martin, is how do you share that? Because I keep coming back to my friend who came with me, and it's a friend who works with me, and we have Zooms, every week where we hang out and just smoke. And when he came to the pipe show, I said, you got to come. He came to the show, and when you just saw the interaction that we were having and the fact, like Phil, you could see it. You could see it was like a reunion of old friends, just getting together and immediately like brothers, right? And he was like, wow, and he felt it and wanted to be part of it. So I think the show itself and the pipes and the tobacco is amazing, but how you can share that is I think is the thing to figure out, so others can see it and want to be part of it, right?
Absolutely. Do you think we could get him on sometime? Because I'd love to hear his. I'd love to hear his experience.
Yeah, that would be cool to get a quote unquote outsider's perspective of what they picked up from it.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking to Rick Newcomb and Jeff Graysick, and it was funny because we were at the dinner and the guys know.
He does this every time. He gets into something really, really good, and then he just leaves us hanging. Yeah. Like he teases it so well.
Look who's talking.
I don't know what you mean by that.
My USB thing keeps dying on me, but yeah,
he's back.
We sat down at the dinner, and we're with Jeff Graysick. I don't know if can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think my internet's bad. We sat with Jeff Graysick, and I was sitting next to Dr. Bob from Dr. Bob's Pipes, but he's talking to Jeff Graysick, and he's like, he doesn't know him, right? He doesn't know he's one of the greatest carvers in the U.S., in the world right now, and he's just asking him basic questions, and Jeff is, as Jeff is, so politely just talking to him and answering questions, and it was just, that's the kind of experience you get to have at a show. Someone who doesn't know anything is sitting down with, one of the best pipe makers in the world, right? So.
Well, isn't that the beauty of it? The simple fact that you have people there on site. I mean, it's like somebody that loves baseball. Like when I played baseball, one of the coolest things was being able to go to the field and see, some of the guys that I just adored growing up, and doing like a coaching clinic or something like that. And this is an even more intimate setting where you get to not only have like the hands-on experience, you get that personal experience from those guys like you're talking about, which again, for somebody like you, Andrew, who's you've got that aspiration to show your own format of that usable artwork. I mean, how invaluable is that just for you to talk to hang out with somebody like Phil or any of those other guys? Like, how big of an impact is that?
Please, Martin and Andrew and I've talked about this at the show. I was like, don't say like guys like Phil, whatever.
Oh, shut up. Anyways, Andrew, my question still stands.
Yeah, no, it's true, Martin, and everyone, including Phil, Phil and Jay and the Dr. Bob, and they're just unsolicited. Oh, you got your pipes with you? Show me your pipes.
Charlie,
right?
good to see you,
I
sir.
happened to bring one with me.
Good to see you.
And I'm showing it to them, and they're giving me feedback. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like Andrew, I was complimenting Andrew, and I was telling him, dude, I love your work. And Andrew's humble. He's like, I'm not there yet. I said, no, dude, you're there. But
yeah. But and all the guys that just like, oh, you got to bring it. I hope to see you next time. With your pipes here.
People are asking me, and I see him. Did you bring it? I was like, okay, I brought him. And I showed him, and it didn't have the micro thin, ultra high button like everybody else. It seems like one high end guy does it, and then boom, everybody falls into lockstep. I am not that guy. I'm anomalous, and that's the way to me, it should be a functional tool. Whether it's art or not, I don't know. It's just my interpretation. But
your interpretation sucks. It's art to me.
But nobody complains that your button's too wide or your button's too thick or your stem's too thick, whatever. I mean, so that gave me a little affirmation that okay, I'm doing something right. 12 years and I'm just now figuring out I'm doing something right.
Well, and here's another question. I wish we had some of the other guys on, but for one, y'all please come back, and make sure, because I would like I said, I feel like this, these like, live chats where we're talking to each other, probably doesn't happen enough where everybody else can see this. Because a lot of us talk personally together, and a lot of us talk privately together. But we talk about a lot of things even privately that is very valuable to everybody else as well. And sometimes I struggle with things to talk about as a presenter on my own. There's times I get presenter's block or whatever the hell you call it. Granted, like nobody ever thinks I run out of things to say, but ultimately. On my question on this, and I'm going to ask the other guys, probably Thursday when we run again. Do you feel after the pipe show that you have a feeling? Do you feel any? I guess the best way to say this: do you feel refreshed at all after going to the pipe show?
Personally, I like I said, I felt like a piece of roadkill physically.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Outside of that, I mean, like,
and I'm still recovering, but this event, meeting guys like Andrew, Mike, Chad, and I'm not going to go through all the names because I'll forget somebody. But once I recover from this event, there are some things I'm gonna venture into, and I feel like this 12-year endeavor, experiment, whatever I've been doing is I'm gonna try and step it up a notch, or maybe experiment a little more.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't been to this show, and I'm not trying to mimic, or somebody asked me at the show, when you see this, does it make you inspired to make more pipes, but in a different way? I said no, and Nish was sitting with me, and Nish was shaking his head no before I even shook my head no. I said no, and I am what I am, but it does inspire me, and it makes me view things from or recognize a different perspective, if you will. Not accept a different perspective, but recognize it and willing to venture there a little bit.
And that's a great point, Phil, too. And then when I'm talking about refreshed, some of the refresh is like, we've dealt with drama in the YTPC. We've dealt with issues in the YTPC. Did this give you an extra bump? Did it refresh you in terms of why we're even involved in the YTPC? Did it refresh your desire for making more pipes?
And you know my own reason. Mike and a few others know it. I was this close to just quitting and throwing everything in. This and I'm not sure the proper term, but reconfirmed or reaffirmed my belief in people and the YTPC. I was ready for one person to throw it all in the bag and say, I'm done with it. Yep. You know, and just reinvigorated me.
That's right.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. And I had a couple people, Martin, that came up to me, and I don't make a ton of videos, as many as I can, and I love doing tobacco reviews, and I've been questioning like, oh, do they really add value? I mean, I love doing it. It's just for me, but I had a couple guys come up to me that I didn't know, just said, I watch your videos. I love your videos. Love
it's
the
weird,
reviews.
ain't it?
And
isn't that
there
weird?
You go. So
it's an awkward feeling at first.
Yeah, Andrew, how humbling, how weird is that all at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, I was at the smoking pipes table, Martin, and I was just randomly looking at pipes, and a guy came, and we're looking at some Petersons, and the guy was like, what do you think of this? And I was talking to him about it, and he's like, oh, well, Bluefin Piper is giving me feedback on pipes, and I'm just like, yeah, slow your roll, right?
A lot of these guys that came up and said, are you so-and-so? And typically my answer was as far back as I can remember, but all these people that it was kind of weird, ethereal, that I had no idea how many people watch YouTube.
For sure.
These are guys that have never commented or never interacted or anything, but they see you in person and they want to let you know that they appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think that's where, my biggest impotence on trying to push the social media word of mouth aspect of it all is because, man, you just don't know necessarily what topic you're on or what you're talking about or whatever it is or what you're showing that impacts somebody where they say, I want to check that out, or I want to experience that, or I want to see what that's like. And I think that's kind of what it's all about. And the YTPC is such a overall very welcoming community and overall a bunch of good people that I think the ability to do that, especially at a show, could only magnify that message. It could only push that out much further and to more people. And I find value in it. I'm
gonna razz you here, Martin.
Oh, here we go.
Your impotence. I think the word you were looking for was impetus.
Something like that.
Yeah. And there's other groups, Martin, out there, right? I mean, Reddit's one of them, but I'm a member of the Speakeasy Forum, and there were guys from that there, right? And guys talking to me. I mean, I was hanging out with guys from the Speakeasy Forum that I'm a member of, and good friends with, and similar to the YTPC, right? It's just they're not just happen to be part of the YTPC, but there's other groups that would love to, I think, have the similar kind of experience, right?
Absolutely. And I
had a conversation with, textual messaging with Niche today, and I said, anything, there's always going to be egos involved, especially when you have notoriety involved. And
was Mutton Chop there?
I struggle really hard. It's a daily thing in the back of my mind. Keep it real. I put my pants on the same as everyone else, trying not to do a face plant each leg at a time, So I said, don't, sometimes things could be more diplomatic or whatever, but it's human nature when you receive some notoriety, whatever, to believe your own bullshit, so to speak. And I would say anybody, whatever you're doing, keep it real. Remember where you came from before you are who you are now, and just be humble.
Well, you know what? I think that's a great word to close out on there, Phil. I'm gonna go to bed and hopefully don't wake up my wife. But I appreciate you guys jumping on here. I appreciate anytime I'm gonna I feel like this is kind of progressed into that kind of style And I hope we have more and more people. I'd love to hear Andrew's friends' perspective. I'd love to hear other people's perspectives as well. And I think collectively getting together like this, sometimes it feels like a chore. Sometimes, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I had a really, really day. And ultimately, to me, what brings me back every single time is getting together with everybody and enjoying some time. And I'm so glad I did. And I'm so glad, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have had this conversation with you and Andrew and everybody everybody in chat.
I really enjoyed this, Martin. I think this was the most quote unquote productive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Martin, by the way, I got you. I got your tin for you, man.
You son of a bitch. Oh, I didn't mute that. Sorry. Beep, beep, beep.
I need your contact information, Martin, so I can get it out to you, but I got you.
Oh, well then, okay. I'll send my wife. I'll get your Venmo too, so my wife can shoot that over as well. No, you son of, don't you dare. Andrew.
No, it's coming your way. It's all good.
Oh, Andrew, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. Oh. All right. I mean, look, you know how this works, Andrew. You know it's on now, because that's just how it goes, and it's so much fun. All right, I will send you. I'll send you the info. Shoot, just god dang it, Andrew. Now I'm all screwed up. I don't know what to freaking do. I'm about to chug a beer. I'm about to drink more bourbon. I don't even know what to do.
And thanks, by the way, for getting me addicted to looking for the Ocean Ride, by the way, or the Ocean's.
Oh, you like it?
I started collecting. I got a 24, 26, and 28, but I got a long way to go. So
you know, the hunt is so much fun. By the way, they have a New York edition coming out.
Ooh.
So look out for the New York
bouquet list. Sorry.
Look out for. Jeez, wow, golly, but okay, yeah, for sure, Andrew. I'll reach out to you and everything. I appreciate it so much, man. That's super thoughtful of you. I appreciate it. You didn't even forget, not for a second. That's the testament to everybody here. Let's keep these Zooms and everything going. I would, as much as, you know, I enjoy the Zooms, I enjoy exposing, you know, everything we get to talk about to everybody on the lives as well. I think this is easily something we can sandwich together that's going to keep building. And
I think the Zooms work well, Martin, because they get to see us how we are.
Absolutely. And people see enough of me and they're tired of it. So I appreciate you guys being on. Anytime.
Very good. Night, boys.
All right, guys.
Love you guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. I appreciate all of you.
Love you, Andrew.
See you, Phil. Good night.
We'll talk to you soon.
Martin. Good night, guys.
Appreciate it. I love every one of those guys. They're the absolute best. I hope all of you love it. These damn freaking bots. How many times do I need to block these people before they finally give up? I don't know what else to do. I keep reporting them. They're freaking sly little suckers. Yeah, I know. I'm getting them, Troy. I know. What did y'all think? Did y'all enjoy that? Did y'all enjoy that with everybody? And I again too, this was, you know, these lives are just kind of a culmination of practicing and just trying something new and just seeing what we can make out of it. But if all of you are enjoying this and you know, want to keep these Zooms going, we're gonna keep doing them, man. And everybody's invited. So, you know, feel free, and especially specifically everybody in the chat, if you have questions, throw them out there. You know how to do the exclamation point ask. Pop that sucker out there, and I will convey those questions, because I think too we're gonna have a wealth of knowledge coming on these, and I want everybody to get absolutely as much out of them as possible. Thank you, Mike, for hosting the thing and shooting it over to me. No matter what, you know, a lot of fun, guys. Everybody, appreciate the heck out of it, all of you. It's Taco Tuesday, and and I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep these Zooms going. Mike is more and more. The more these Zooms go, the more likely I'm probably gonna just freaking pay for that stupid thing. That's just my own grumble. But Love all you guys. I appreciate everybody out there. Hey, son of a that dang freaking stupid donkey. If I hear that thing one more time, oh, that's all right. I got a day off tomorrow. So we'll see y'all on Thursday.